further ado, we've got Dobson and Stephen Kitsoff. Dobbo on the team quickly. We've got two guys coming in, France and Junior, and then on the bench we've got Nama, Salman and Warwick. Great to have those guys back.
Yeah, it's a really strong bench. Salman's a very big presence in this team. He's international quality lock, so that's great. Warwick can change a game. He's over his injury, so it's very exciting if you think back to the difference he made. I think it's a really good bench. I'm really pleased for Nama. I think he's done incredibly well in the tough Currie Cup campaign, and he actually deserves an opportunity. So, look, Dion, obviously we'll miss Dion. He's been great for us, but I think Junior and Nama are two amazing replacements.
Yeah. And
it gets Dion and Chance to get ready for next week.
Okay, and then just in terms of preparations, we obviously had some time off last week, but then we had a short week this week. So how's that balance been?
Yeah, it's a short, we trained like a normal Friday. So we trained obviously on Monday. But I think what Stephen said to the team, their level of engagement, uptake and intensity on Monday was really good. I'm actually feeling, that doesn't feel like we've shortcutted or had a short week. We're feeling good. So.
Can see from a player's point of view, obviously last time we played was that game against the Bulls. But we know we can, although we won, there's still areas we can improve on.
100%. I think I also mentioned it. I think that after the Bulls game, a bit of an off week, came back energized, refreshed. Monday was absolutely a great day for us training-wise. You can feel the energy, you can feel how engaged the guys was in the rugby aspect of the game. But yeah, I think players-wise, mentality, I think the guys are in a really good space. We know we're coming to the sharp end of the competition. A couple of crucial games coming up for us. So for us just to get the wins and get the momentum on our side, and hopefully get a playoff game at home, which will be great. But just qualifying for playoffs is up there. So I think the mentality and then the work ethic and the preparation wise, you guys are really sharp at the moment.
Yeah, just talking about momentum and playing at home. 6 in a row with 1 at home now. How big of a factor is that? How good is that to know that we've got some momentum at home?
Yeah, I don't really look at it like that, but like just the way the guys have been playing since the break, so from January was just the level of focus and preparation wise. I think after we came back from tour, there was really a mindset shift change. So where the guys really started focusing on playing good rugby and actually being engaged in training, which was absolutely amazing. So I think just the momentum and getting the wins at home was a factor, but I think the team as a whole is quite well prepared and a mentally good state.
Cool. All right, guys. I see Nathan has already got his hand up. Nathan, how many questions?
I'll just keep it to 2 for now and then a few later.
Make it a double.
Guys, please, man. I'll start with Kitty. All these former Stormers players applying the trade overseas. This week, another in Ollie Keppel. Kitty, you've also played against him when you played for Bishops. Well, he played for Bishops and you played for Porous.
Yeah, I've known Ollie since school level. Played against him at school. Went together to the S-20s. Played a couple of seasons at Stormers with him. Played international rugby against him. So yeah, he's a good old friend of mine. But yeah, this weekend is no more friendship. It's for that 80 minutes on Friday. It's all about so you can bug up the other guy the worst. So yeah, it's we'll have a beer afterwards. But I think for 80 minutes it's enemy time.
Dobbo, Glasgow just announced their side. What are you expecting from them player-wise, and then the start they play as well for Friday's game?
Yeah, like I've seen the squad. I haven't seen their team yet. No, listen, they seem to be very full of confidence. Been some interesting quotes in the build-up. I'm convinced they're going to win and impose themselves and step on our throats and all that sort of stuff. So that should make a good game because we as Stephen suggests, we're feeling confident in a good space. Maybe not as brazen as that, but yeah, I think we know that they're a team that they're system based. They're big. They do move the ball. They've got a really good maul in the 22. We expect them. Elliot Price is a really good box kicking. He kicks well at the international level. Assuming he's in the team. So we know, and it's natural. We unlike maybe a couple of games of the last, a couple of weeks ago where South African teams, in our case, could rely on the heat, and in other teams' case, they could rely on the heat and the altitude. We're not going to have that. We're going to have to bring the intensity ourselves, and how we play. We're quite excited about the opportunity to do that.
Cool. Are you done, or you've got another one?
Just one more, please. Glasgow only 3 points ahead. With a win, you one step closer to hosting a playoff game.
Yeah, look, I mean, as Stephen suggested, I think, and we always said this at the start of the season, our first goal is getting to playoffs. And we are pretty aware of that. You know, where those playoffs take place becomes next week's thing. You know, but we know that can't happen without tomorrow night. I mean, it's obviously a cliche, but this to me feels like our most important game of the season so far in terms of securing, playing at the playoff. And obviously, you want to play in Europe next year, and obviously, you want to play at home. So tomorrow's game is really important from that point of view.
All right, Sabu, you're next up.
Thanks, Michael. My question is for Stephen. Could you talk us through the mentality of this group to be SA Shield leaders at this point, whereas not a lot of people would have picked you as a first name on the list? I say that because I understand that when things were really tough with the province, SA Rugby president Mark Alexander even spoke to the players to assure them that they will not compromise, you know, the Stormers this season and the URC. But you guys have really taken on the challenge on the field and really put on the games that have put you where you are. Can you just tell us about the mentality that went into that?
Yeah, we didn't speak to Mark.
No, yeah. I wasn't involved when we spoke to Mark, but I just on the mentality, I can 100% answer on that one. I think this team, even with our backs against the wall, say 2 years ago or a year ago, where everyone was writing us off, I think a lot of credit to Dobbo and his manager and his coaching staff. A lot of credit to the players, leadership guys in the squad. They just stood up and said, "Listen, we're a proud union. A lot of rich history, a lot of great clubs, players coming out of the school level." So I think for us, it was we had to defend that, and the team itself has grew a lot in maturity in the way that we want to play. We found our DNA. We found the players involved in the group got a great understanding of what this team is about. So I think the mental aspect is a strong bunch of guys who's not going to give up that easily and will fight till the end. So I think with this couple of wins, it just grew our confidence. But I think rugby-wise, we've always been a strong outfit. West Brom's always been known for playing great rugby and competing at the top level. So for us, it's just to manifest that and just carry on carrying the Western Province name and the Stormers name on.
Nice one, kids. Stephen, next.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, guys.
Hi, Steve.
Dobbo, Dion Fourie obviously is quite a stating obvious to say that is a big loss. You know, when you guys are on the defense sometimes like that in your 22, then Dion sometimes picks off the opposition. You know, it's I think he's one of those really irritating guys for opponents to play against. So in terms of what you miss and weighing that up against what you get, what do you think kind of makes up for that in terms of what you get or strengths?
Yeah, it's a good point, Steve. I mean, I think Dion's going at about 4 a game, maybe winning the penalty or the board, maybe a bit slightly more. So I mean, that's just world class. Junior is a guy who can play 6, 7, 8. But I would say Junior he won't get 4. I mean, I'd be lovely if he did, but he'll get 1 or 2. So we're talking about a difference of 2. But where Junior brings those amazing carrying skills, defensively very sound in terms of his contact stuff is very strong. And he's won us 2 turnovers, which I can't remember which game it was. It was a penalty at the end of one of the games at home. And then last week, the one against the Bulls, that he created that situation where we got that last penalty. So, look, he's a really exciting player. The future and a leader and everything. And it's good for him to get an opportunity. Obviously, we want to play our best team every week, but we have to be responsible. So it's actually a good opportunity both for Junior and for Naaman. And also, the nature of Dion's injury was that he can damage it further, you know, which would be crazy to risk to rip playoffs, especially when we've got such 2 good replacements. So I think Junior perhaps more of an all-round game. somebody who's carrying is really exceptional. Dion, obviously, we will concede a little bit on the ground, but Dion, Evans not far behind him in steals, and Junior's got some really big ones as well. So we'll lose a little bit, as I said, it's to balance itself out in other areas of the game. And
then going with Damien at 15 and Rikus at 12. I mean, you obviously had Warwick coming back, but if Rikus plays the way he does, it's also very difficult to justify to him moving Damien to 12. So I guess was it a really difficult quandary for you, and did you go with it the way it is because in terms of continuity, or what was your thinking there?
Yeah, I think Warwick would have been out for quite a while now with the bye and everything, and Rikus is going so well, and then we also have to think how we think Glasgow going to play and the pressure they'll try and put us under, and we don't see it as completely dissimilar to how the Bulls play. That's Damon were really good in the last line of defence. And we know what Warwick did in those games away at Loftus and at Kings Park in terms of making impact. So it was a bit of continuity. Also, Warwick, I think himself wants some more confidence before starting a game after his injury. It's a painful injury. It's not a serious injury. It's a painful injury. So it just made sense. Continuity. Warwick's there. I'm assuming we will need him and he will play. And then next week we can revise it because then Warwick would be more prepared. But a strong element of wanting continuity. I mean, it's not a backline. It's a backline that's going nicely. And I think Warwick coming off the bench will be really exciting for him.
Is it mathematically beyond all doubt that you qualify for playoffs if you win this weekend, or is it just highly unlikely that you won't?
Yeah, look, I think if we win, it's 90%. I mean, we'd have to get 0 out of any of the last 2 games, and Scarlets get 5-5. And even then, I might come to points difference. Actually, I haven't got it in front of me at the moment, but we'll go. To my mind, we win this weekend. We're safe in terms of qualification. But it's obviously what's it called? The thing. It's the first hoop to go through if you want to talk about where we play the playoffs anyway. Because if we don't win this weekend, that debate's not up. But we can still qualify if we lose, of course. We've got 2 games still to play after this. But Duncan made a good point. We're actually going up against the 3 conference leaders a week in a row. These are the Scottish, Italian leaders. Next week it's the Irish, and the week after that it's the Welsh conference leaders. So it's tough games, and we only 1 point. So that South African conference, I think we came back from tour top of the conference, got a smack from the Lions here, and the next week we were bottom or second of the South African conference. I mean, things go wrong tomorrow, we could be in 3rd in the South African conference. I think that, like I've said for a while now, the most important thing is that we get as many teams in the top 8 as possible. And of course, our destiny is completely in our hands at the moment. So I do think, long answer to, I do think tomorrow gets us across the line in terms of the playoffs.
Stephen, just in terms of that, do you feel almost, considering that there's also the matter of the Heineken Cup qualification and now there's playoff qualification, does this team, or does this game for you almost feel like a sort of a final, or are you just approaching it like any other league game?
We understand the importance of the game as a group and as everyone that's involved this Friday. To understand the importance, we understand there's qualification, knockout games, and maybe going to Europe, and we understand all those things. But for us, it's still, when we spoke about it in the beginning of the week, the things we played against the Bulls, we want to improve on. We're still driven by how well we play and our DNA and things we do on the field. So we understand the importance, but for us also coming on Friday and pitching up and playing a good game of rugby. A good win for us this weekend. Yes, it makes our chances better. We can qualify for Europe. We can go into the knockouts, but Friday is at this moment in time the most important thing that we focus on.
Robert, just lastly from my side, Neetling, is that a rotation or is he injured?
No, that's rotation. And he's playing really well. But we know we can't. I want, if we lose a, God forbid, we don't Stephen or France or Kitsi, Brocky or Nietas, we want to be able to. We need 5 props to be getting ready to go to the playoff. And just the way Stephen's been playing and leading, we haven't given that other loose set nearly enough rugby. So we want to get, so that's why we moved Brocky across tight head, because he only got 10 minutes last week and Ali got 10 minutes the week before. So it's just to build capacity there. Nettles will be back next week. So that is purely rotational.
Cool, Stephen. Are you happy? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Nice one. Okay, Dylan, go for it.
Thanks, Michael. Just a couple of questions for Dobbo. Firstly, you mentioned him earlier in this press conference, and he started against you, I think, when this British Irish Lions played against the Stormers last year. Ali Price, how key is it that you deal with his kicking game? Because we saw what he did also against the Springboks in that first test last year.
Yeah, he's spot on, Dylan. I mean, it's actually interesting. The last few opposition, Northern Hemisphere opposition, if I go back to a guy like Reese Webb from the Ospreys and blank now, but and John Cooney, these scrum halves of these teams are really big game drivers. And I mean, Ali Price is probably him and Thomas Williams are probably the epitome of that. In that what I like about the Ali Price is that kicking game, but he's also got a really amazing break. So dealing with Ali Price on both fronts is really important to us. We think he's the sort of driver of Glasgow. So we're going to have to handle both his pressure kicks and the X factor he does definitely bring, the quick taps and the snipes.
And then just in terms of your department, the attacking breakdown, obviously Glasgow have a couple of threats there, particularly a young guy like Rory Darge, who's been impressing for Scotland. Is there also have you also been focusing on that in the build up to this game?
Yeah, look, not so much in terms of Rory. Look, you're dead right. He was really good in the Six Nations. They've got a lot of good loose forwards and it's competitive there. If you think that Hamish Watson's essentially an open side as well, and they chose Rory Darge. He's a really good player. Last few weeks we faced, the Bulls one had a massive stealing threat. Ulster with Dwayne the week before that. But I think what we were disappointed with our breakdown against the Bulls was we just didn't generate fast enough ball and overcommitted. So we have worked hard on our breakdown just to try and give our attack more options by producing faster ball. Obviously, Rory's a threat there to slow it down, but we'll do it.
Cool, Dylan. Was that it? Stephen, you still got your hand up. So do you, Dylan. I'm not sure if you guys have questions. No, Gavin, going to give you a chance because I know you can't put your hand up.
Thanks, Mark. I was actually going to ask you if you had any questions you'd like me to ask. It's a question for Stephen, and this is just coming straight out of the top of my head now. It's not something I sort of even thought about until about half a minute ago. If I remember correctly, your first chance as captain was against the Rebels in Melbourne in the last tour game of a Super Rugby tour where things really went badly for you guys. And, you basically came through that game like you had a very young team, if I remember correctly. And you came through that game with flying colours, and that sort of war of attrition has always carried on with the Stormers in the sense that you've always got your backs to the wall. First, I wanted to ask you how much you're enjoying the captaincy and whether how much you felt you've grown since then. But secondly, I also want to ask you if you're sort of like in a new scenario now where you're no longer sort of like that team with the backs to the wall, and you've now sort of almost become that team where like people sort of almost expecting you to win it, and whether that brings new challenges for you.
I think just on the captaincy question, to be honest, I'm very fortunate in the way that the group of guys that's here, strong leaders that run either attack, kicking game, defense, line out, scrummaging. So for me, it's mainly just to focus on the discipline on a weekend and actually just managing the wrong word, but just dealing with the ref and on the discipline side. And then, it's growing as a player. I think it does take a bit more focus in the week. A couple of things you need to think about and prep for. But I must say, Dobson and them still give me the ability to play my natural game, just to go out and play a good game of rugby on the weekend. Because we got that strong leadership group, my attention doesn't go to a million things. I just focus on playing a good game of rugby and then handling the areas that needs be. But I think the Stormers, with our back against the wall, we always came out fighting. But being the team in front at the moment, almost feels like there's a bit of a target on our back. So we just need to keep pushing the way we play and keep winning, and then just be the front runners for as long as possible. So we understand that, and we understand the way we keep on developing each week, just trying to be better. That's a lot of credit to Dobbo, to Norman, to Dave, to everyone involved that understand that and keep pushing this team forward.
Thanks.
Cool. Another positive is that you get to spend more time with me as a captain. Any other questions? Are we good? Sorry, we're late, guys. Just go for it.
Just want to say one thing about the importance of, as we revive this industry, people coming to the ground. I think it's a great experience. Different. Friday night was always a challenge at Newlands. I think it's quite exciting at Greenpoint. With that precinct around, we've got a great. There's a great. Well, it must be a better term than beer garden. That's what I grew up with. There's a beer garden. A beer garden is an environment that all the restaurants. If you don't want to get stuck in the City Bowl after work, stuck in the City Bowl after work. It's a good excuse of genuinely beating the traffic rather than going straight to Fireman's Arms or wherever you go to come and watch the rugby. The beer garden opens 3 hours before. I think it's important. I think Friday night lights, and especially a game of this importance in terms of competition and this quality, given the amount of international rugby players out there, I think it could be a good occasion, and I think something we should encourage people back in the stadium. And I think Friday night lights could work in that precinct really nicely. Gavin, you could be at the, where's it? The Blue.
That's his local. Guys, just to let you know that the beer garden is also open to journalists. So if you come 3 hours before, you guys can have a beer before the game starts. All right. Nice one, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
I have actually, Dobby, just so you know, I have already got a hold of the people at Blue Peter that were Blue Peter last week and told them to come to the rugby tomorrow, and they are coming. So you can thank me. I'm not just a journalist. I'm a crowd gatherer.
Thanks, Gav. Every little bit helps. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gav. Thanks.